Working with dates in Tableau can be a bit tricky, especially when we want to filter the data by dates. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you 6 different ways in which you can filter the data in a dashboard by date value. So without any further delays, let's get straight into it and see how we can achieve this. Welcome back, this is Gurpreet from DataViz Canvas, and in today's tutorial we are going to learn about different ways in which we can filter the data in a dashboard by date values. So we will be talking about how we can filter the data by relative dates or by range of dates, and also we'll be talking about how we can filter just by starting date or ending date. And at the end we will talk about how to create a filter using Tableau parameter for start and end date, and also how we can set a default date for start and end date whenever we open a dashboard. So let's see how we can achieve this. For this, I'll be connecting to sample superstore dataset, which I have already connected here. And first of all, we will create a simple bar chart. So let's use that by bringing category into row shelf. And we would like to see, let's say, sales, and maybe let's bring profit as well. And I will simply change it into a bar chart. And let's just look at sales first. And we will sort it in the descending order. And I will bring the labels in the label marks shelf. And you will see here we have a sales number by category and subcategory. But this is for the entire set of years. So the data we have is for like last 4 or 5 years based on the order date. So let's bring the order date to the filter shelf. And you will see here the pop-up window will appear with a lot of different options. And we have relative dates, range of dates. You can also select it by years, quarters, months, days. So let's do it one by one how we can filter the data. So let's select relative dates first. We select relative dates and press next. Once you do that, you will see a pop-up window which will give you an option. Based on the relative date selection, you can select today's date, yesterday's date, tomorrow's date. Based on the day selection, if we do it by week, it will give you the same option by this week, previous weeks, next week, or even you can select last 3 weeks. You can change the numbers by increasing or decreasing, or just by typing it in that I want to look for last 10 weeks of data. And same will work for months or quarters or years. So if we look at the years, then we can say, then we can also anchor the relative date to whatever is today's date. So I'm making this video on 18th, so it is anchoring to this one, but you can actually change it to 1st of Jan as well. So based on that, the relative day will decide the anchor year. You can see it here. It moves to anchor year. Or if you are looking at the day, it will select the anchor day based on the day which you have selected here. If you don't want to use that, then it will do the today's date. But based on the anchor day, it will be showing the previous day and the next day based on that. So that's how you can use relative dates to select the filter value based on the dates. So if we do, in this case, we select years and we select previous year and we select OK. So it will give you the date range as well. Previous year is 1st of Jan 2021 to 31st of December 2021, and we press OK. And you will see the numbers changed. And I will simply click the drop down and will say show filter. So that was the first option where we were using the relative dates. Then we can also go to range of dates. So what does that mean? When we click on that, it will give you an option to select the range. So right now, the entire gray line, the light gray line, is showing the entire data set from sample superstore. But the selected one is, if you see these 2 anchor points, starting from 1st of Jan 2021 to 31st of December 2021. But let's see, I drag this and bring it to the beginning, which shows me 3rd of Jan 2018. So that way, like, you can select the range whichever you want. You can select here as well, and if you want to change, you can change the month and year by just typing it in. So that's how you can use the range option while filtering the data using date filter. And then the third option is just filtering the data from the starting point, the start date. So it is just giving you the option to select the start date. Anything from that day onwards, you can filter the data. So as you can see here, the end date is fixed, which is 30th of December 2021. But the starting point, you can move and change the starting point, and accordingly, the data value will change. In the same way, if you select the end date, you are fixing the starting date, and it is showing you the data prior to the end date. Anything before that end date, it will show you. Even if you are having the data set for our last 10 years, it will show the entire data set before that selected date. And as I was showing you earlier, so if I remove this order date and if I bring it again, we selected the relative date and range of dates, right? So let's look at what are the other options. So if I want to select the individual dates or just the month and year, so I will simply click that and go to next, and it will give me the option of the discrete value of all the years. So right now, either I can select all the years, or I will say filter to the latest date value when the workbook is opened. So the latest month and year is December 2021. So by default, that is checked. So let's try that. Let's click OK. And you will see all of these data is now showing the values for December 2021. You can also select multiple years, but as I keep selecting the checkboxes, you will see the data is changing. All right. So first of all, I will go to the drop down and I will go to customize, and I will say select show apply button. And what it will do is, like, whatever you select or unselect, it won't change the data on the dashboard straight away, which, as you have seen before, these bars was moving, right, as I was selecting different month and year. But if I do that now, it won't change unless I select an apply button here. So you can see that. So I'm just selecting multiple months and years. Nothing changed till the time I select apply here. So that way you can customize the filter section and you can apply the buttons here. And also there is an option here where you can select this list. You can either keep it a single value list, which will look something like this, like a radio buttons, or you can go to single value drop down, which will be a good utilization of the space, but you can at a time only select one month or one value. Or you can select multiple value list, where we can select multiple checkbox, which was by default, or you can select multiple value drop downs. So that's the one which I normally prefer, where I can select multiple of them and apply, and once it is done, it will go back into the drop down list. So it's a good utilization of the space. So this is about just selecting the date filters to select a month and year value or month value, or also the discrete values, right? So here, if I change that to the format, you can change it to customize here, month and year. You can change it to month, day and year. So if I do that, you will see all the dates came through. And if I click OK, there is nothing for that date because we didn't select anything. So we select all of them and the filter is changed now, right? So we can't see anything here. The apply button is gone because we changed the filter. So I have to go and apply the customize button and show apply button, right? So that's how we can change these values. And the next option which I wanted to share was how to give the calendar option to the users to select from a calendar view the start and end date. So how we can do that? So first of all, I will remove this filter and I will create a parameter. So I will create, let's say, a start date parameter, start date, and I will select the date type, data type as date, and I will keep the default current value as today's date, and I will select OK. and I will create another parameter as end date. And again, I will select the data type as date and keep the current date as today's date. And I will select OK. Then I will create a calculated field where I will say date range, and here I will say order date is less than or equal to end date parameter which we have created, and order date is greater than equal to start date. So this will give us a Boolean expression, true or false, and what it is doing is we are saying whatever is the end date parameter where user will select the end date, give me all the values which are less than that end date or greater than the start date. So once I do that, I will bring that date range into the filter shelf, and right now it is doing false because both the start and end date is today's date. So let me bring end date as a show parameter and start date as show parameter, and both of them are today's date, right? So I will move the start date. Let's say I want the start date to 18th of Jan 2021 and end date is 18th of Jan 2022. I will bring the end date at the bottom. So in the date range filter, I will add it and select true. So now you will see here it is giving me that date range where the data currently which is showing is from 18th of Jan 2021 to 18th of Jan 2022. But let's say I want to change the data from 1st of December to today's date. So this is basically for the last 1 month, and here I can change it as well, 31st of December 2021. So that's the data which we can say by just clicking and selecting the date from the calendar. But you might be wondering, what if when I open the dashboard I want to select the default dates? So let's take an example again. So I will create a calculated field and I will say maximum date in the data set, right? So I will create a fixed LOD calculation where I will say fix everything and give me a maximum value of the order date, and I will close that. There is an error here, max date. Okay, so that calculated field already exists because I have created it before, so I have just added ampersand to make it unique. So click OK, and what it will do is, so let's bring that max order date in here, and I will say discrete, and I will do exact date, and I will do it as a discrete value, and you will see the maximum date it's giving me as 30th of December 2021, right? And the same way we will create a minimum date at the rate minimum date, and I will do the same fixed calculation, and I will do a minimum of order date and close the parentheses, and I will bring that minimum date as well and bring it here. So I'm just trying to show you how this will look like once it's plotted. So you can see here minimum date is 3rd of Jan 2018, but start date and end date in the parameter is showing us the dates which we have selected. So let's go to start date and say edit parameter, and in here the current value is this one, but we want to set a value when workbook opens. Here it is the current value, but that's what we don't want. We want to select the minimum date. So we will go here, we will go to sample superstar dataset, and we will select the minimum date parameter or minimal date calculation which we created and select that. And the minimum date is 3rd of Jan 2018, which you can see it here, right? So by default, when I press OK, the start date value will change automatically. So 3rd of Jan 2018. The same way we will do that for end date, and we will select the value when workbook opens to maximum date, and that will give us the value of this one. And also, if you want to change the format of the parameter, you can choose the display format, and you can say the standard long date format, short date format, this one, or even you can go and customize the format here as well. So I will keep it at automatic by default. So that way, whenever you open the workbook, you will see these values to be defaulted. And you can create your own calculation and change the default value to any other month, year, or time the way you wanted. So that's how this date filter works in the dashboard wherever we want to filter the value by date value. I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and if you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a message in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so by clicking the bell icon as well. So every time there are any new videos, you will be able to see it as soon as it's published. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.